described in my diary. And once I'm in Switzerland, the Swiss authorities arrest me. I'm an illegal immigrant, and I'm interrogated. And someone in at the triage center, where they decided who is going to stay in Switzerland and who's being sent back into France, I was told, be careful, they're sending the Jews right back into the arms of the French and the Nazis. So when I was being interrogated, I remembered that someone had sewn my baptismal certificate in the lining of my jacket. I tore open the lining, pulled out my baptismal certificate, and the Swiss interrogator looked at it and said, "Ah, Monsieur Catholique, bienvenue en Suisse. Well, you are a Catholic, so welcome in Switzerland." So with that, I was able to stay in Switzerland, and if you've read my diary, that's where I said I now sleep peacefully in a neutral country. So for me, the war ended, if you will, about 2 weeks before the Normandy landings in 1944. In Switzerland, my father had given me the name of some business associates. That family took me in. They kept me for 1 year. After 1 year, they asked the Swiss Red Cross, please take this kid off our hands. We can't stand him anymore. He's impossible. And I was then bounced from one facility or school to another. I usually didn't last more than six weeks in one place, and then they said, please get this kid off our hands. We can't deal with him. 1946, I came to the United States. My grandmother, the one that was in the camp in France with us, and her other daughter, my aunt, had made it to the United States in 1941. They sponsored me. I came over in July of 1946. I spent 3 years in the U.S. Air Force. When I came out of the Air Force, I went from one job to another, always trying to improve myself. By that I meant if another job would pay me 5 cents an hour more than the job that I had then, I would quit and take the next job. 1953, my aunt organizes a dinner party for me. I had to meet this very nice young girl who also was born in Germany, in Berlin. She and I took instant dislikes to one another. I couldn't stand her. She thought that I was a Nazi. I thought she was a communist. And 4 months later, we got married. Believe it or not, 58 years later, we're still married. So, anyhow, she deserves all the credit because I'm pretty hard to take, and she's put up with me for all that time. I had a very checkered career. My teenage years were pretty well screwed up, but certainly my adult life was great. I traveled on business to some 76 countries in the world, and I can't complain. I did manage to get my pilot's license, and I was in the aircraft industry, so I am very happy. And my wife and I had 2 daughters. One of them lives in Maryland. She has 2 boys, our 2 grandsons. One of them just is a sophomore at Penn State, and the other one is a sophomore at a high school in Rockville, Maryland. So that basically tells you my story. Now, I said, how does this relate to you? What does that have to do with you? And I will explain it to you. It has to do with the following. There isn't anybody in this auditorium who has not either been the target of a bully, or bullied somebody, or witnessed somebody getting bullied. And I'm here to tell you, the next time that it happens, I want you to intervene. I want you to speak up and stop it. Why? 2 good reasons. Reason number 1 is because it is the right thing to do. It is the ethical thing. It is the moral thing to do. But if that isn't enough for you, be very selfish. Just think of your own self-interest. And you know what? The Jews were picked on because they were a minority. and someone, the Nazis, needed a scapegoat on whom to blame the economic problems of the country, the high rate of unemployment. Have you heard of economic problems and unemployment? Okay, we're having that right now. And political unrest. And there comes a time where someone will say, I have the solution to all your problems. I am your leader. Just follow me. I will put food on your table. I will restore pride in the nation. I will put you in a nice shiny uniform, and things will be better. And you know, it's all the fault of the red hair people with red hair. That's a minority to pick on. You never want to pick on someone that's bigger than you are, because they'll punch you in the nose. But if you can find a small minority, someone with freckles, some of you guys, I think, have heard of discrimination too, haven't you? That's nothing new to you. So someone is going to pick on some minority and blame them. So if you don't get involved, you may find yourself in that minority for whatever the reason, whether you're overweight or underweight or wearing the wrong clothes, doesn't matter. So if you want to be selfish, just think of yourself and put a stop to it. Last but not least, there was one German Protestant pastor who objected, and he spoke up when Hitler passed the Nuremberg laws, the laws that defined who was a Jew. And he said, this is unjust, this is not right, stop it. The reward was that he was sent off to a concentration camp. He spent 7 years in a camp, but he survived. And at the end of the war, he put it very nicely, and I'm paraphrasing here, when they came to arrest the Unionists, I kept quiet. I'm not in the Union. When they arrested the Communists, I said nothing because I'm not a communist. When they arrested the Jew, I'm a Protestant. It doesn't concern me. And when they came to arrest me, there was no one left to speak up on my behalf. And now I thank you very much for listening to me. If you do have a question, kindly stand up and raise your voice so that I can hear you, especially if you're in the back. Thank you.